My ex-girlfriend ruined the perfect future I had planned for us and stole my cat, so I am planning to screw her off with legal fees and press charges against her. I had been dating this girl for over a year, and she and I decided to move in together. Fast forward a year, and we did everything together. I spent multiple semesters in college, countless road trips to meet my family estate over, a trip to Orlando, and a trip to another country. I took her everywhere I could, and we did fun things every weekend. We even got my first 2 cats together. We were the golden couple our friends looked up to, and my relationship with her felt extremely strong. I felt very emotionally dependent on her, and she always had comfort in the other. Very few arguments, and the few small ones we had only ended in us becoming closer. There was no way anyone who knew us could have seen the following coming. It was undescribably surprising. Fast forward another year, to a couple of weekends ago. I'm playing a game, Tarkov, chatting with friends while she's out with her friend named Em. That night I had plans with her, but she explained Em and her wanted to hang out spontaneously, and I had no reason to object, though it felt off that she would blow off our plans of hanging out that night. No biggie. I trusted her and loved her with all my heart. She hadn't texted me for about 2 hours, so I asked how it was going. No response. 30 minutes later, called her 3 times. No responses. This worried me as she'd answered every call in the last 5 years. I checked her location on one of our apps, Snapchat. It was off. Something I wasn't insecure about, but we'd both never had it off since we started dating. Now I was really worried. I wasn't sure if something had happened to her and the person knew to turn off the location, or if she was lying about where she was. Eventually, she answered my calls with a text, "It's good," in response to my "how's it going baby?" An hour prior. This was no good. I was pissed that she would so shortly answer my obviously huge worries. I spammed her, asking for a selfie, asking for an explanation of the missed calls and location being turned off. Short 1-word replies, 5 minutes apart, only made my mental state worse. Eventually I started asking for pictures of Em. I was becoming doubtful she was telling the truth. She's in the bathroom. Okay, show me when she's out. She has to go home. Eventually, I asked what she was lying about. She told me she was actually with a coworker. A guy. Wow. From there it was pure anger from me, and her telling me I didn't satisfy her or spend enough time with her. She admitted to being unhappy with me and told me she only stayed with me for financial and apartment security. I worked 2 jobs, one every weekday from the morning to the afternoon, while going to my classes. She usually worked afternoons to evenings, but regardless we hung out every single night. We spent every single weekend for years going out, watching movies, hiking, road trips, trying out new games, hanging with friends, and cooking new foods together. Countless hours she didn't appreciate but never discussed with me. I got a new roommate to sign into my lease so she could be removed. We made up slightly, with no possible chance that I would stay with her, but after 5 days of sobbing and staying home from work, I had felt clear-minded for once, and we even watched some shows together. I helped her pack her things and moved mine out of the way. I helped her load her car multiple times, and we had some good times. Innocent, goofy, silly insults, messing around, laughing, just like we had our entire relationship. The morning she was supposed to finish packing, she asked to leave for 1 hour while her father was at our apartment. After lots of back and forth, she gaslighted me into guilt, and I fell for it. I left for an hour, and our last 4 texts were, she said, all out, "Left my keys at the front office. I love you." I replied, "Take whatever time you need to settle in, and let me know how your apartment search goes. Smile. I don't catch every call, but I'll respond to every text." She then blocked me on everything, as well as all of my friends and any close mutuals we had. J was the cat we verbally agreed I'd keep, and B was the cat she was supposed to keep. This was more than fair in my opinion. I returned home, and J, B, and many other items we agreed I'd keep and even paid her for some of them were gone. Legal action is being taken over the stolen cat. Court updates, complaint filed and constable paid, evidence printed of our verbal agreement and its violation. The constable has contacted me to inform me that her working location is refusing to allow them to speak with her. There is 1 attempt left, and then I need to dive into a special service request or hire a private summons. Either way, the costs will be added to the suit. For my general outlook of the case, I feel extremely wronged, and it is undeniable that a crime was committed against me with the intent to spite me and for her own selfish desires. I had a friend over, my new roommate, during one of the days before the theft of my belongings and pet, and the 3 of us discussed who was keeping what and who would keep either J or B, the cats. I have his written and notarized statement ready for use in court as damning evidence that she and I had a verbal agreement, one that she violated obviously. Physically, she took both cats and multiple of my items, and in the last 4 texts between the 2 of us, there is usable evidence. That being said, being financially stable and responsible, I'm basically allowing whatever process needs to take place out of my wallet, knowing that winning the case would mean any court-related costs are then awarded to me. This is simply a waiting game, and by now she knows I'm not bluffing or simply going to give up and let this Bane keep my loving cat. I am inquiring into the possibility of taking both back, though I'm not sure what the odds of that are as it's not requested in my formal complaint. Part 2. I had filed the civil suit, as I intended, and paid for summons. Traditionally, you get 3 summons attempts before you need to move on to more expensive yet thorough means of serving someone civilly. The first 2 attempts were wasted on her working address. The constable was told both times promptly to screw off, and that they had no clue who the constable was referring to. The 3rd and final traditional attempt had the constable head to the father's house of my ex, being the reasonable man I know he is, which is why I allowed her to be in my apartment in the first place thinking he'd be there the whole time. He contacted his daughter regarding the constable, and out of good conscience and for his daughter's financial well-being, explained to her that she needed to meet with the summoner and find a way to get this case dropped, because it was clear she would not win, once served. The constable called me earlier today to inform me that she had been served. She promptly reached out to me, for the first time since telling me she loved me, that she had told my cat goodbye, and that all of her things were out of the apartment. She essentially asked what it would take to have this case dropped, as she definitely could not afford more than the money and pet return I wanted. I explained my demands, and she asked for a couple of things she had left here. Laptop, and some clothes. I agreed to drop the case after I am paid and have everything stolen returned, including my beloved cat. Sure, I could have denied her, and dragged her through months and months of court, at the end of which she'd most likely have to pay all of my fees on top of hers, as well as these demands. I in no way or manner forgive her at all. But I don't have it in my heart to ruin someone's life as badly as this financial situation would do to her. I feel it is much healthier and says a lot more about me that I'm able to settle this ultimately outside of court. I will never speak to her again outside of this exchange. Yes, she will be paying for all of the fees and time I've put into this case already. I am so unbelievably excited to get my cat back. Even though she deserves every little bit of what I planned through court, I'd like to move on as fast as possible and not be legally involved with this horrendous human being for up to a year longer than I need to be.